Dana, let me come back to you. Since we're talking of modalities, we're talking of coping mechanisms. I've heard a lot of people say that, I'm under stress. And when I'm under stress, either I go shopping or I do binge eating. So let's tackle the binge eating part of it. Uh, the buzzword here is emotional eating. Is it normal to eat emotionally sometimes? And when does it become a concern? When should somebody start moving away from seeing it as something which is all right, fun, people are making fun of it, versus taking it seriously and saying that, listen, something needs to be done for it? Because what happens is everybody notices these things, we observe it, but we don't do anything about it because we say कि यार ठीक है, stress चल रहा है, tension है, or let me speak in English because it's stress, it's all right, it's because of stress the person is behaving that way. When is it a time for you to take it seriously and take professional help?
Oh, yes, we could all agree upon and acknowledge the fact that emotional eating is actually quite um, common human behavior, and it can be a normal way to cope with stress or emotional discomfort, from time to time. Um, Eating also has always had an emotional component. So if you think of people celebrate with food, bond over meals, right? Often associate food with comfort and nurturing. However, it becomes a concern when it turns into a habitual coping mechanism, as you were talking about, something which begins to govern your life also, So coping mechanism to deal with some deeper emotional issues, and governing your life, overall. So occasional emotional eating, I would say, like, enjoying comfort food after a rough day, or just celebrating with family and friends over food, does not really pose a problem. So it's just a part of balanced emotional relationship with food, and it can actually enhance our social and cultural experiences, in a way, positively affecting our mindset as well. But if someone is using food regularly to numb, to distract from, to avoid emotional pain, so this can create an unhealthy pattern. And then it becomes problematic when emotional eating becomes that, as I mentioned, primary strategy for managing difficult emotions rather than addressing them head on or finding healthier coping strategies or mechanisms. So when food is used not just in response to hunger, but to suppress or avoid these negative emotions, like it can be sadness, anxiety, loneliness, as you mentioned. People may not even be hungry, but they are eating to fill that, emotional void. So negative consequences would include weight gain, feelings of guilt or shame, actually, after eating, poor self-esteem, maybe even more serious conditions like binge eating disorder, actually. So additionally, emotional eating does not resolve the underlying emotional issues, and it just leads to a cycle of emotional distress and eating. So to break this cycle, the goal is to bring awareness. Awareness would be the keyword, I guess, to begin with, helping individuals recognize their emotional triggers, develop healthier ways to manage their emotions. So it can be from simple mindfulness, stress reduction techniques, to therapy, much more serious therapy. So it can all prevent emotional eating from becoming destructive. So I would certainly encourage people to tune into their hunger and fullness cues, and become aware when they are eating out of emotion versus true physical hunger. So this awareness can help individuals distinguish between emotional and physical needs. And emotional eating often ties into much deeper, actually, psychological factors, which can be even some childhood conditioning, stress, trauma. Food can become a coping tool, which is learned in early life and responds to unmet emotional needs. So the key is to uncover these underlying issues and then replace food with some more effective emotional regulation strategies. So it is very essential to show compassion toward oneself in this process, understanding that food and emotions are really intertwined, but finding balance in this relationship, just as with everything else in life, is actually a goal for so to say long-term well-being.